Hello, Da Vinci. Welcome back. This is our English lesson for Thursday, 21st of January. I'm stood up today. Thought I'd been sitting down for quite a long time, so I'm stood up with my laptop raised, ready to go. So, can I tell the story using thought shower ideas about what happened in La Luna? So we're going to be continuing writing on our sentences. We've been doing 2 sentences each time. So if you have already completed yours, and I know I've looked on Tapestry, I've seen a few children that have already completed theirs, the whole story, because they misunderstood that we were doing sentences at a time, and that's fine. I'm going to give you a task at the end. So if you've done this, I mean, you can go through with this by all means, but if you've done this and you've completed your whole thing, then I've got a task for you at the end to just continue. Right, so you're going to need your pencil, your paper or your whiteboard pen, your whiteboard, and your thought shower ideas. So, quick game, left, right, depending on which way I'm flipped. We've got our nouns and verbs. Now, nouns, remember what a noun was. It's something that you can see or something you can touch. Your noun, something you can see, something you can touch, something maybe you can feel. So, we've got anchor, argue, gaze, broom, listen, drop, and ladder. Okay, and then we've got verbs on the other side. Okay, so I want you to go to one side of the room or the other side of the room, depending on whether you're moving, or it could be hands on heads, hands on fingers, depending if it's a noun or a verb, you decide. So, anchor. Anchor, do we think that's a noun, something you can touch, something you can hold, or is it a verb, a doing word? So an anchor. Now remember, an anchor is the same thing the boy had in La Luna. Don't know if it's on the last picture that we've got here. It's not on this picture, but it's what the boy used. He wrapped the rope to it, and he had the anchor, and he used it to get onto the moon. So what do we think? Is it a noun? Is it a verb? Can he do an anchor, or is he holding an anchor? What do you think? It's a noun, super job. It's something he can hold. It's what ships use to keep them in place. Listen. Is that something you do as a verb, or is it something you can hold? Can you hold listen? What do we think? It's a verb. It's something. Oh, it's not disappearing again. Oh, sorry. Right, it's something that you can do. You listen to someone. Right, what do we reckon? Argue. Argue. Noun on verb. Is it something you do, or is it something that you can hold? I think it's not gone in again. Oh, it's not. It might be verbs. So I'm going to put all my verbs underneath this time. Let's put listen and argue. Okay, I'm going to go with ladder. What do we think ladder is? Ladder a verb, something you can do, or something that you can touch? Can you see and touch a ladder? What do you think? It's a noun. It's a noun that is definitely something you can see, something you can touch. Right, let's go with gaze. If someone gazes at someone is looking at someone. Maybe if you're gazing at the sunset, you're looking at the sunset. So what do we think? Is that a noun, something you touch, or is it a verb? I think it's going to be a verb, and I think it's probably not going to disappear. It's not, so let's put it in our verb section. Let's put them all in. That's a good idea. There we go. And we've got broom and drop next. Broom and drop. So let's go with broom. What do we think? If you've got a broom, it's what you used to sweep with. So you're sweeping away the rubbish. What do we think? Verb, to broom, or noun, to hold a broom? What do we think? It's a noun. It's something you can hold, something you sweep with. And then you've got drop. What do we think drop is? Is drop something you do as a verb? Can you drop something, or is it a noun? Can you hold a drop? Well, it's going to not be a noun. It is indeed a verb, drop. Well done to everyone. I'm sorry. I'll see if I get that sorted for tomorrow. Our verb sections just don't want to disappear. Right, here we go. So yesterday we began writing some more of our story. Today we're going to continue it. So here's our thought shower ideas. We've got boy, granddad, sailed out to sea. Granddad and dad argued over the broom. They climbed up the ladder, floated to the moon, hammered the star, looked around the moon's surface. So those are all the ideas that I had. And what I did was I labeled them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if you need some more ideas, we can always go back and watch the video clip again. It's never going to go from that playlist. So here we go. So drop the anchor, look at the moon. Okay, so drop the anchor and look at the moon. That was my idea of what I was going to have as my bullet point. So now I'm just getting my sheet of paper of what I've got my ideas on. So I've got the word then. So then's going to be my time sentence starter. So first off, I'm going to make that a capital letter because it's the beginning of my sentence. Then what I'm going to do, then I'm going to get my cursor and I'm going to add in some text. So let's make that a full text box. There we go. Now, then drop the anchor. Look around the moon. I'm going to expand that. I'm going to make it so much more exciting because that's not really, it's not really good enough. That I'm going to add in some really good either adjectives or I'm going to add in some different words. It's going to make the sentence better. So then drop the anchor. Well, who? So then he. Now I can't say drop because drop isn't past tense. Remember, this has already happened. So it's going to need to be something that's going to tell us it's already happened. Expanding drop into past tense, it's going to be dropped. Then he dropped the anchor. I think that makes sense, yeah. So then he dropped the anchor and, that's my conjunction, as long as I've got my finger space in there. Then he dropped the anchor and look at the moon. Look at the moon. It's not really a powerful verb, look. I want something that's a little bit more exciting. We used a word yesterday. I think it was explore. Explore. But explore is present tense. I'm going to need to make it past tense. And again, it's just adding that D, explored. So then he dropped the anchor and explored, with an E, explored. Then he dropped the anchor and explored. I could put just the moon, if I spell it correctly. But it's not very exciting. What did he explore on the moon? What we use is a word that's kind of something that's on the top level. So I'm thinking, then he dropped the anchor and explored the moon's surface. The moon's surface. I like that. I like that because it's telling me that it's not just the moon, it's the moon's surface, the top level of the moon. But I'm going to make it one better. I think then he dropped the anchor and explored the moon's surface. I could make that even more exciting. I could add an adjective. He explored the moon's rocky surface. And I've got another idea, actually. I'm going to make it even better. I'm going to add in rocky, and just like Bob when he said he came back with moon dust, I'm thinking dusty. Then he dropped the anchor and explored the moon's rocky, dusty surface. Now hold on. Rocky, dusty surface. Do you remember what I'm talking about here? Rocky, dusty surface. Can you remember back in school we used to go 1, 2, and 1? It's our expanded noun phrase, isn't it? 2 adjectives, 1 noun. Now, what do we need in between our adjectives to make it really exciting? Well, sorry, to make it make sense rather than really exciting, to make it make sense, because you can't have 2 adjectives next to each other without something in the middle. Do you remember? It's going to need a comma. So then he dropped the anchor and explored the moon's rocky, dusty surface. See, I've made that sentence 10 times better by just adding in some adjectives, making it past tense, and expanding this idea a bit more. Let's move on to the next one and see whether we can do the same with the next one. Right, before long, and we've got Dad and Grandad argued. So I'm going to change my before long, make it a capital B. It's the beginning of my sentence. Before long. Right, now I've got my text box. I'm ready. Before long. We're still talking about the boy because we don't, Dad and Grandad. Who's Dad and Grandad? So we need to say his. So before long, his Dad and Grandad. So let's type that in. Dad and Grandad. Before long, his Dad and Grandad arrived because they didn't just argue on the boat, did they? They arrived on the moon. And we've said in the last sentence that he's already gone to explore the moon. So I need to say that Dad and Granddad have arrived. And I can't just say arrive because that's present. Arrived. That's already happened. Before long, his dad and Granddad arrived, and now I'm going to put the boy's name. Now I changed the boy's name to Dan. I need capital D for Dan. So before long, his dad and Granddad arrived, and Dan didn't argue, but he was there and he was listening. That word that I used right at the beginning when I changed my nouns and my verbs, he listened. He listened, because I can't just have the word listen because it's present tense. Before long, his dad and Granddad arrived, and Dan listened to them and then argue. Now, argue is present tense, to argue, but when he's listened to them argue, I just should make sure my listened is spelled correctly. He listened to them argue, then it's correct, because listened is past tense and it changes what argue means. So he listened to them argue. What was it about? It was something quite funny, wasn't it? It was about a broom. I think it was about the broom, wasn't it? And the mustache and the beard. Right. Okay. So he listened to them argue over which broom. Finger space. Over which broom, and it wasn't like which broom was better, which broom worked the best. That was it, wasn't it? Yeah. So he listened to them argue over which broom worked better. Right. There we go. Now, I've added all of those words just from 4 words up here. I've really expanded my sentence out and I've made that story a little bit more interesting. So now it's your turn. You're going to now get your sentences ready from your thought shower, and you're completing the next 2 sentences. So challenge 1, can Dan fly? Climb can Dan. Dan can carry. These sentences have the words in the wrong order. Can you fix them by putting them in the correct order and making them make sense? Challenge 2. You need to write the next 2 sentences using the words below as your sentence starters. So I've got then and before long. And my challenge is for you to use the word because in there. You're writing them about your sentences from your thought shower. I've given you my examples of what my thought shower was. Now your turn. You're on challenge 3. I've got 2 sentences using the words below, but your challenge is to use conjunctions and adjectives. Here's a list of conjunctions that you need. If you have completed all of your story because you misunderstood and you went ahead, and that's fine, I want you to go back over your work, purple pen. If you don't have purple pen, that's fine. I need you to just edit your work, see if you can make it better. I went back through my work to add some adjectives. Can you do the same? That's everything for today's English lesson in Da Vinci. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Goodbye.